Welcome to Tales with Ghost King, your podcast for the bizarre, the weird, and the spooky. In this episode, I'm going to tell you about a true story, the hanging of Murderous Mary. This story starts in 1916 and describes the killing of a circus elephant named Mary from the Sparks world famous shows in a small mountain town in Tennessee. I do have to warn you, the story is about the killing of an elephant, so if that's not something you want to hear, then you may not want to continue to listen. Back before we had social media and streaming platforms, people had to go out to enjoy entertainment. That being said, one of the most magical and exciting events was when the circus came to town. This is where our story begins, in a small town called Irwin in Tennessee. Whether you're young or old, you all gathered in the streets when the circus came to town. There would be colorful wagons accompanied by exotic animals, with clowns and multiple types of performers. At this time, railroads were expanding across the country, and many circuses took advantage of this to accumulate as much as the hardworking Americans' income as they possibly could. This circus in particular, referring to the Sparks world famous shows, was what some would consider mid-sized, with a train car count of 15 rail cars. They pulled into town on September 13th, 1916. They came with the promise of a bizarre spectacle that was said to have never been seen before, and it would directly follow their performance of their matinee. They promised not only a public, but a free hanging of Tennessee's most famous elephant, Murderous Mary. Now, Mary was a circus elephant. It was said that this is a true story, but it's also said that over the years of passing the story down, some things may have been considered exaggerated, or some believe folklore. But to this day, the people of Irwin, they tend to avoid the subject or discussing what occurred on this day. But even though the story may have derived from the truth a little bit, one thing that sticks out to be true is on September 13th, 1916, Mary the circus elephant was publicly hung, branding this town for years to come as the town that hung the elephant. The manager, Charlie Sparks, was said to know how to entertain an audience. He was the child of an English music hall performer, and at the very young age of 8, he performed with Jack Harvey's Minstrels as a drummer and was said to be a world champion clogger. After his father passed, Charlie took to the streets with song and dance to support his recently widowed mother. Charlie met a man named John H. Wiseman in Utah. While staying in a hotel, Charlie's mother had become ill with tuberculosis. She had asked John to look after Charlie. Not only did he look after him, he changed his last name to Sparks. Him and Charlie had the after-show act until the year 1890, when John then began to organize a small circus, which was named Sparks and Allen Wagon Show. Now, this was his first circus and was later renamed John H. Sparks Virginia Show. It quickly became a success, even though it was just a small horse and wagon operation. Charlie turned 25 in 1901. His father had become tired of touring the country and purchased a hotel near a town in North Carolina by the name of Winston-Salem. He then continued on to add such things as a lake for people to fish in and even a small zoo. He eventually died by a lion cub who had bitten him at his own zoo after the wound became dangerously infected. After his death, the circus was left for Charlie, as well as his brother Clifton, to manage. He knew that he had to get the circus more mobile, more on the road, or on the rails. Charlie started performing with just one rail car that had ponies, horses, and draft stock. The railroad grew quickly, and so did Charlie's show. He then renamed it Sparks Circus, or more accurately, Sparks World Famous Shows. Of course, the star of his show was an Asian elephant who was named Big Mary. She was advertised as the largest living land animal on Earth, It was said that she weighed over 5 tons and was at least 3 inches taller than Jumbo, who was another circus elephant with the Barnum and Bailey Circus. Mary would perform many tricks for the crowd, pitching a baseball, playing musical instruments. Mary could even stand on her head, and the crowd loved her. At the time, she was valued anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000. Just from her size, she was considered exotic and mystifying. Mary was purchased by Charlie's father in 1898, and she was 4 years old at that time. She was a family pet, and Charlie ensured everyone treated her kindly and respectfully, as he did with all of his animals. Charlie, even though successful, was still considered a run-of-the-mill circus, or a Sunday circus. That being said, he kept his routes and his locations secret, and would try to pop up in towns rather than advertise his adventures like his big competitors did. Early in the morning of September 11th, 1916, Charlie was on his way to a small mining town of St. Paul, Virginia. It was here a hotel worker, Walter Eldridge, spotted a poster. Although not much was known about Eldridge, it is said that he was between the ages of 23 all the way to 38. That he was employed at the Riverside Hotel in St. Paul, and when Charlie's circus came to town, he found the head trainer for the elephants and asked for a job. He was then hired as an underkeeper for the elephants, due to his inexperience with the animals. He continued to travel with the circus through a few towns. They arrived in Kingsport. The small mountain town was having their very first county fair. The townspeople crowded the streets. People came down from the hills just to get a glimpse of Big Mary and her big elephant friends. What happened next has never been truly verified. It's said that Mary and other elephants were led to a watering hole. Some individuals who were present said Mary spotted a piece of watermelon on the ground. As Eldridge guided her with his bullhook, he roughly poked at her. She became enraged with him and is said to have grabbed him by her trunk, swung him around into a nearby drink stand. From what people say, she then crushed his head with her huge foot. The crowd screamed and ran in terror. Some even say a blacksmith fired shots at Mary, but bullets bounced off of her hide. Charlie rushed over, confronting Mary by her trunk to calm her down. Then he seen what she had done. He saw the mangled body of Eldridge. The crowd began to chant, "Kill the elephant." Mary was officially arrested in the town of Kingsport, where she was kept outside the county jail for all onlookers to see. Charlie knew he couldn't sell or trade her. The news had spread too quickly. He was a smart businessman, and he knew something had to be done. He knew he had to publicly put Murderous Mary down. He was unsure if bullets, electricity, or any other methods would end Mary's life, so it was decided a public hanging was the most humane path. This year was particularly wet and rainy. Charlie planned to use a derrick car that hauled wood to execute Mary, but they refused to move the car to his locations due to the terrible weather conditions, and the derrick cars were needed elsewhere. He knew he had to move his circus to them, to Irwin, Tennessee, at Clinchfield's headquarters and repair facilities. They arrived in town early in the morning. After a night of heavy rains, the grounds had become a muddy mess. Townsfolk were said to have seen Mary chained behind the tent in a panic, knowing that something was wrong. After difficult attempts to get Mary to the derrick, they finally reached their destination. She was quickly chained by her legs to the rail to keep her still. They then threw a 7/8 chain around Mary's neck. The crowd grew eerily silent. Then fitted the chain through a steel ring and signaled the derrick operator to begin hoisting Mary up. Mary began to lift into the air. It was said they had forgot to release her foot chains, and you can hear tendons being torn. Then all of a sudden, a loud snap broke through the silence. Mary's neck chain had failed, and a loud thud was heard as she hit the ground. The crowd screamed, and fled, fearing this massive animal may retaliate. But Mary sat there stunned, hurt. The fall had caused her great damage. After the crowd calmed down, another chain was fastened around Mary's neck. This time, it was bigger and stronger. This chain held. With a short period of time, Mary fell limp and died. The crowd dispersed, and Mary was buried near the rail yard. Its exact location remains a mystery to this day, but the town will always be remembered as the town that hung the elephant. I hope you enjoyed this story today. Don't forget to follow me and share it to your friends.